I'm going to start a business so I can have free time.
God.
I just said, hey, I got to raise your price. And I mean, I raised a couple of them $30.
Yeah, a
And
lot.
they didn't say no. I was so busy that I couldn't do it. I was staying up till midnight, you know. If you're not happy, you're not going to provide good quality work.
I don't think you're 14 years old. I'm not releasing this without a birth certificate.
Are you ready to kick back and get inspired? Grab your favorite drink, pop the top, and join the Side Hustle Squad with Mike Garvey and Larry Delasante. This podcast is the perfect resource for anyone who's already started their side hustle or is just considering taking the leap. With in-depth interviews featuring guests from the green industry and beyond, you'll gain valuable insights and learn what it takes to succeed in running a business while juggling a full-time career. From personal stories to practical tips, the Side Hustle Squad podcast has everything you need to turn your passion into a thriving business. Now, here's your Side Hustle Squad hosts, Mike Garvey and Larry Delasante.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your host, Larry Delasante, with the Side Hustle Squad podcast. Coming at you from the Branded Bull studio here at Podcast Row at the Equip Expo in Louisville, Kentucky. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing good.
So I have Kaden and John on. They have Grant and Sons Lawn Care. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Tell us a little bit about your company and your age, which is amazing.
15. Yeah. He's solo right now out in the field. I'll let him talk about that.
Yeah, right now, father-son business. We started in 2022, started with leaf removal. Figured as we got into that, we were like, oh, if we're going to keep this thing going, we got to take on lawn care too. We're going to have to grow this industry. So we jumped into that in 2023. I'm still working a full-time job. Went from there into getting probably about 20 to 20, I'd say about 20 yards and one commercial. I was still working full time, going in 5 in the morning, and then getting off at 1 and mowing until 8 o'clock at night, doing estimates and paperwork all night, and just kind of grew from there. But was able to, or had to pretty much quit my job because I went, continued to get work. And I was just like, okay, we're either going to grow this or not. So I told the wife, I said, can we afford to quit my job? So we looked at what we had for income coming in from that. From there, she's like, you can quit your job. Like, you can cover your payments on your truck. You can cover, your stuff.
So you're taking a very bold move.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was getting good pay, but they pretty much told me, oh, you're topped out. So I was like, well, I don't want to be on the concrete floors the rest of my life. I enjoy being outside. This guy, Caden's been mowing with me and trimming and doing yard stuff since he was 9. So he was really kind of growing into the industry too and enjoying that. And so I wanted to kind of be able to grow that with him and give him the opportunity to have something, whether he decided to stick with it or not, but use that to teach him, that you can have something else in life, right, to fall back on, or something else, to something to have as your own too, So that opportunity was there to work with him and not have them sit at home on video games all summer while we worked, so but be able to pour into their lives. I have another son too. He's doesn't know whether he wants to do it anymore or whether he's into it, but Caden's definitely into it, so we're going to continue to pour into it.
So what made you? So you took a big plunge. Like that takes a lot of guts to do that. How did you really get into I know you start with the leaf cleanup, which is kind of like different than most people. Most people start with the cutting, then they move into the cleanups. What made you start doing like the leaf cleanups? Like, how did that come about? How did you just decide to do that? To just extra money, or what made you do that?
Yeah, so we're in Virginia, Fishersville, Virginia, which is kind of between Stanton, Waynesboro, Charlotte, west of Charlottesville. We we have about 2 acres of property and a lot of oak trees. So on our property, at that time, I was using a Craftsman mower and a sweeper to clean up my leaves. And I would make one pass of 40 feet, and it'd be full. So I do 30 passes a night cleaning up leaves, and I was like, this is crazy.
That's just the daily keep
Yeah,
up.
then you wake up in the morning, you start all over again.
Yeah. And so I decided that I was going to talk. I had a friend who had a pull behind leaf vac for a mower. And so I went and talked to them, and he's like, yeah, if we decide to get rid of it, I'll let you know. And he called me like a week later. It was like $300. I was like, what? I'll take it.
Sold.
And so we started doing that, and that's when I got into learning about debris loaders. And I was like, oh, this took me 3 passes and 45 minutes to vacuum up my yard, and I got to do it. I can do it whenever, like once a week, and it comes out in a chunk that I can mulch and compost.
It's one of those sure track pull behind ones that has like it's a mini debris loader, just like it has an impeller blade that shoots it up into the box, and it comes out like a bale.
So like almost like minces it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they call them. I think they're called track vac.
Oh yeah, track vacs.
Anyway, so I did that, and I started watching. Actually, started watching Brian's Lawn Maintenance and Spencer's Lawn Care, and all these guys, and they're doing it, for business, going out vacuuming up leaves with a blower. And I was like, we can do this. Like, that is not hard work. I mean, it is hard work. These are hard.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's not
Doable work.
It's doable
Yeah.
work. We're doing it now in a smaller scale. Why not try this in a bigger scale? And we got the leaves and the people, so I was like, let's try this out. I decided to take a chunk from my 401k when everything was going bottom, and I was like, I took a loan for myself actually, so I'm paying that back, but I paid myself back interest instead of a bank.
Yeah, well, you did it as an investment. So it's not like you took the money and said, hey, I'm going to go buy a new car that I'm just going to drive back and forth to work every day. You're investing in your company to grow it. So.
Sure. So we did that, and I just started kind of Facebook, throwing out stuff, word of mouth. My brother and sister-in-law actually are in Richmond, which was crazy, driving an hour and a half to do leaves. But we were able to do well with that. That was profitable. And even though the drive was an expense and the labor's an expense, it was still profitable, for their first year. And so we did that, and then local. And last year we grew more local doing it with that business. But we were able to, I think, 2 months do 10,000.
That's good. That's great.
First year. So that was huge. I was like, whoa. I mean, handful of customers, and so that was huge. So going into, that's when I was like, oh, we need to continue to get more customers through lawn care, and then we can have more leaf customers too, because we can provide both services for them.
That's great.
So
you cut lawns. How many are you cutting now?
We are taking care of about 43 properties, I think is what we have, and 2 of them are commercial, a big church, and then a small commercial property.
Oh wow! So a little bit bigger of a property.
Yeah.
And
how much do you get this young fella to help you out working on these properties?
A lot during the summer, but not with school now. I'm basically, by the time it's 3 o'clock in the day, most of the time, because we don't have our route density down in the neighborhood that's a mile away because we're starting up, so he's running around. So he can't come get me and drive 20 minutes there and back to go get me. So at the moment it's not helpful because the drive time, but in the future we want to be in this neighborhood that's a mile away from our house, a mile away from the school. It's a giant neighborhood. It's just we haven't hammered getting in there. So once we get in there, then I can come out and help more often. And also, I'm 15, almost 16, so once I'm 16 in 3 months, I can get my license and help out after school too.
So where you guys live, you could get your license at 16 in 3 months?
Yeah.
Okay. By us, it's not. That's great.
Yeah.
And you could just drive on your own?
Yeah, drive
no
on your
parent,
own,
no nothing.
anywhere.
Wow, he's going to put you out of business.
Right.
Like the route density is very important, which we all know. We talked about the other day. I mean, he put up a diagram at the LCR. We had a diagram up about route density. But I feel like when you're in the stage of this and you're on your own, you don't really have like the employees, and you guys are kind of doing this stuff, it's not quite as important. Not that it's not important. It's still very important because you're going to make more money being close, but you have to start somewhere. And so you start and you do your thing. And I mean, I used to drive to a house, one house to cut. It was like more of a business, but it was still a house. I was charging like $100, but I drive 45 minutes to go cut this thing, like just for that. And there's nothing in between that house. But to me, it was like, okay, I'm getting like $100 and, an hour and a half, say, maybe 2 hours of drive time and everything like to me, that was like great when I was starting off my business. Now it's I'm not even going to touch that.
No.
I just stay far away. But for you guys, I think, you have it figured out. Like you're saying, like, hey, you want to get it down to route density and get it in this one neighborhood and kind of set that up. But right now, you guys are doing great, it sounds like.
Yeah. The route density, I mean, wasn't even a thought to me in the beginning, right? You're just like, I got to get as many lawns as I can to pay the bills, right? And then you got to figure out, am I charging the right price? No, we need to raise the price because we're not charging enough. I did that in probably the first month of mowing. I mean, I was listening and I was just like, they're all saying raise your prices if you're not making enough. So customers I wasn't making enough, I just said, hey, I got to raise your price. And I mean, I raised a couple of them $30.
Yeah, a lot.
They didn't say no. So I was like, I knew I was low then.
I
was like, oh man. And
they're like, no problem. You're like, whoa.
So I was like, okay, this is a real thing. Like, I got to get my prices right and get that up. So that year, May, after listening to Paul, I'm pouring all your guys' podcasts. That's all I did. Headphones on, podcast, and listen to you guys just pour your wealth of information out to us. And then I picked up the landscaping bookkeeper in May of 2023. So last May before last. And I've been with them now a little over almost year and a half. And I know my numbers in the sense of what I need to make per hour.
Okay, that's
to
great.
Run my business.
Not a lot of people have that.
No. But, I mean, that's all you, Paul would pour out. Know your numbers, And I was just like, I couldn't even handle the bookkeeping side of it. Like I was so busy that I couldn't do it. I was staying up till midnight, just trying to get stuff done and then sleeping 3-4 hours and back to work,
Yeah, but why would you want to do it? I mean, if you're, sometimes like they actually said it today, like sometimes you need to take that away.
Mm-hmm.
Like because you could go out and make money. And if you're not a master at the bookkeeping, they could even save you that money that you're giving up because you're not having everything right, in your books. What kind of equipment you run, and like what does a day, in the field look like for you guys? Like what kind of machines you run in, how many machines, what do you guys have equipment-wise?
Yeah, so we started with a 54-inch bad boy, and it did well for us in the beginning. We came here last year and found out that we needed something more commercial that could handle our ground, which is a little rougher terrain.
Okay.
Not as smooth.
Like bumpy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bumpy, hilly. So a good option for us was a Ferris because it has suspension. We're using a stander, so it's really wide, holds like a 35-degree incline, no problem. Probably could do way more. And the cut quality is amazing because there's a floating deck, so you won't scalp because we have bumpy ground, which is what we ran into. You don't want to lose clients over scalped grass or
it's not worth it.
What? Yeah. So investing in a machine like that actually cuts with the contour of the ground and for what we need was the best option, even though there are a lot of good options.
Yeah. You enjoy the mower though, so you bought the right mower.
Yeah.
And you don't hate your body at the end of the day,
Oh, yeah. Well, it gives you a little bit of, suspense.
Yeah.
You're not just boom, 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 especially
Sure.
on these compacted soils that we all have here.
So then we run steel for our trimmers and blowers, and right now we have one Echo 9010T for leaf removal, which works
that
great.
is like
it's a beast.
It's an animal.
Yeah.
I mean, that blower is an absolute animal. Like, I love that blower.
Yeah. It's like having an 80cc mini bike on your back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
I call it having a push blower on your back. Like you have the push blower and you push. You don't even need it.
No.
That thing's just like,
Yeah.
And they did a great job with it.
Yeah.
That blower.
So we've got that for mowing equipment. We got the 7x14 sure track dump with a 30-horse billy goat and put a box on it. So we got a debris loader. So we just went straight to it. And then we run an open landscape trailer. So we run the 2 standers when we're together, and we keep them, because some yards I need to run the 54 still on, and some yards I can get the 60 on, no problem, But and then we got a push mower too, for like a couple spots on a couple yards. The one commercial property we do, the church, has an area that you need to push mow. It's just too much angle. So,
Okay. What push mower you have?
It's a little bad boy.
Okay.
I'd say stay away from it. Like any tall grass, if it's not regularly maintained, or even if it is and you have a heavy rain, it's bogging down.
Okay. Can't handle it.
It's disappointing that you spend the money for a commercial push mower and it doesn't work. So look for something else. Yeah.
Good advice.
Last year we picked up I'm probably going to say this wrong, a Jericho.
I think that's right. Yeah, we do.
Jericho,
Yeah,
okay.
the leaf rake, right?
Yeah,
leaf
the
plow.
leaf
Yeah,
plow.
they're great.
And that was huge. We had a property that was taking me and him leaf removal 4.5 hours with vacuum, vacuuming up. And last year I did it by myself with the leaf plow in 4 hours.
He doesn't need you anymore.
I cut him out of the picture.
Look what's happened. You're getting already cut out.
I know.
Better get your license fast.
Yeah, so that was huge. That was a game changer for me because I could go out and do some of these jobs while he's in school that we don't have to do on the weekend, or I don't have to wait till he's off to get to him, that I can do by myself and still. So it was huge, like having that second man.
That's like a game changer on anybody if you think about it, because think of you have 4 guys on a job. Now you could just take away 2 of them, basically, because that machine's saving you that much time, on it.
It is.
That's probably the biggest thing for leaf removal, because you can have an Echo 90T10, which is the best of the best, but if you get a pile of wet leaves or just a giant pile because there's so many leaves, the leaf rake is the only thing that you can do to save time.
Yeah, trying to get it to that truck loader. The most important thing for you guys is to get that to that truck loader to get it into the truck.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting there and you can't push it, you're either pulling it with tarps or you're doing something. But that I love that. I'll tell you, I love that leaf rake. It saves me a ton of time. What are some of your goals for the upcoming season? You trying to grow any part of your company? Like you trying to grow more of the cutting? Or you trying to just grow everything in general? Or are you trying to stay where you're at? Or what's your goals? Hiring a guy?
Yeah. I really want to hire a guy. I really want to get a second guy, just to be able to start training and getting that extra person and work towards another person to be able to not as much just get me out of the field, but give me more time to do estimates and maybe, have some more free time. I'd still like to be in the field. I still enjoy being in the field. And I don't think I'm kind of like Kalfas. I won't get out of the field completely, right?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. And so that is one of our goals. I think our main goal right now is we really need to pour into our route density, into our subdivision that we're in, and really start growing our lawn care customers in there to build that side of the business, to have that residual income coming in from mowing, and having those clients, because then we can offer the other services to them that we supply, trimming and leaf removal, or looking at getting into being able to do more with fertilization. We don't do fert and squirt right now. I'd like to get in there. That's an opportunity to just grow, but being able to grow our clientele and get that route density down and market in those areas heavy is what we've talked about here at the show.
That's great. And, selling the services to those existing customers is the best way to grow a business. To me, the other day we were talking at the LCR about that also, how to get that number up, and we didn't really go too far into sell. If you have 100 customers and you can sell 50 of them a hedge trim, another 50 mulch, another 50 leaf cleanup, another 50 spring cleanup, you just sold a lot of work.
Yeah, it adds
And
up.
you're still in your same route density of, your same routes. And it looks like you have the equipment to do this work. You're telling me the equipment you have, and that's good equipment. I know the truck loader saves a ton of time. Imagine having to haul all that into it just loads into the truck. It's nice, minces it up a little bit. And I don't know where you guys dump by you, but we have to go to landfills, but they're recycling landfills for this stuff. So it sounds like you have that kind of setup, right?
We would really like to get a piece of property down the road, because we also want to we already do it now a little bit on the side. We'll keep some of our stuff and we compost it
Nice.
to make topsoil.
The best.
And we already were able to use some that we made on a property, and it was rich black soil, and that's something I want, because I've gotten compost from some surrounding companies, and it's like a 5 or 10 year compost, and I'm like, this is literally horse manure and leaves, like not composted, and you pay a big chunk of money for compost, and it's like, this is
more
not
than
compost.
topsoil.
Yeah,
by a lot.
And I was like, I want to be able to provide something to my neighborhood or my community that's a real rich topsoil. We have another, I don't want to share it on the show, but we have another idea for our area that people really haven't clicked on to. So that's kind of in the works in our process on what we're going to do with that and where that's going to go. It's a big investment to start, but it's got a good ROI.
So you're putting a little carrot out there right now.
Yeah. We'll see in the next year or two if we can kind of get that going. We're trying to figure out our niche, right? I don't see lawn care as our main niche, right? We want to have a niche service that's more specialty in our area. We have a lot of crews in our area and companies, so we want to have that service that other people aren't putting out there too, to be able to try to grow in that way.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you being so young, and you're out there and you work, and I'm kind of impressed with you, because like you're asking like these questions, like even today at the morning show, you're like you had the mic, Payjack gave it to you, and you asked a question.
Yeah.
And you don't just ask a question, you ask like a legit question. So it seems like you're into this field. Like, is this like kind of what you're thinking of heading towards? Like, is this what you kind of want to do? Is this like your dream? Is this what you want?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I like the physical labor part of it. I mean, obviously, it's exhausting some days, but it's fun. You get to see good work, and then your customers are happy. So that makes me happy, and I like that part of it. And then also, I want to take over the business eventually, or run it with my dad and grow it to something huge, because it's definitely possible. And seeing all these guys that have done it, I see that like it's a real thing, it's attainable, and anybody can go out and do it if you try. So
you guys already have a business built. That's what's amazing. So
Yeah.
it's not like you're already there.
It's dialing it
now
in.
it's just dialing in and adding to it, which a lot of people are way behind you.
yeah,
And you have, trying to find workers, that's like, we talk about that all the time. It's like a tougher thing and stuff, but, you help out, you do your thing. You're 14 years old. Not a lot of 14-year-olds, they're like you said, they're wanting to be on video games. And you're actually out there learning a trait, so you're going to be successful when you get older. I could definitely 100% guarantee you're going to be successful in whatever you do, because there's not a lot of kids that do that. So
Thank you.
I'm impressed with it. I hope my kids are like that. So you did a good job as a father.
Thank you.
Because he's a good worker, obviously.
He's very hard.
And he has
worker.
great questions.
Yeah, he is very. Yeah, I am not as business minded always. I'm the mechanic. If you listen to is it profits first, or it's I think it's profits first. He talks about that. Whether you're the mechanic or you're being the entrepreneur.
Yep.
I'm the mechanic. I know how to run the stuff and do the stuff. I'm not always that great at the business side of stuff, and it's
which
a
is
learning
fine.
process, right? So, but he's got the knowledge and the thinking brain that, the questions he asks, like,
It's wild.
I was just like,
because for a young kid to ask those questions, it's impressive.
is.
Some of these adults don't ask as good of questions. They're asking silly questions, and this, he's trying to figure it out. And I see you guys around everywhere so far, and he's mingling and talking to like adults, and like picking their brains, and just taking in advice, taking in knowledge, and it's great.
Yeah, one of my, I would say something great about him, but one of my things we get from him that we hear from other adults is, I can have a full conversation with your son, like a real conversation. And at church, they're like, your kids talk to me.
Yeah.
A lot of the older couples, and a lot of kids don't.
No.
And they're like, I had a conversation with your son, like a full conversation with your son, adult conversation. I was like,
funny.
We,
It's good, though.
we bring them around adults.
That's great.
Try to do that, and put that into their lives, you know.
Yeah, he's mature for his age.
Very.
To be able to hold conversation with adults, and it's part of it's definitely the parenting. I mean, you're not just going to figure this stuff out. Like, there has to be some parenting behind it, and to get them to that point. So, kudos to you, man, because like you did a great job. If you could give someone out there in the field, like everybody out in the field's always looking for advice, always looking for an answer to something, what advice can you give? What's something that might have happened to you guys that set you back a little bit, but then you figured out and pulled yourself back forward? Because there's always a setback. There's always, if someone says, hey, everything ran perfect my 5 years in business, I would love to like meet that guy and probably like move into his house and figure it out, because I would love it.
So I kind of got two things here. One is definitely get a bookkeeper. Get somebody doing your books and make sure you're doing it right. You don't waste 5 or 10 years of your beginning of your business and trying to struggle through it and figuring out why you're not always bringing that profit in. Get that figured out so you can see where you're making bad choices or bad decisions, maybe, I don't know, or spending too much on stuff you shouldn't be, you know.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing I took away from the summit, the LCR summit that we were at this weekend, it was a big thing. Stanley told me, if you're not happy, you're not going to provide good quality work. So take on what makes you happy so you can spend that time with your family and have that time. And then your work will show good quality because you're not stressing yourself out by taking on too much and taking on all this extra work and trying to get it done, but you're not doing good quality work or giving 100% quality because you're always stressed about the next job coming up and you're just worried about getting it done. And that's something I struggle with. I get caught up in, I got all this work to do and get done, but I'm like, I got mulch jobs or I've got landscaping jobs. Oh, I need an extra guy, so I got to wait till Friday, Saturday. I got to schedule a Friday and a Saturday to do it, but I want to have my family time.
You're moving a schedule around.
I want to be able to go do stuff with my kids. The whole reason I started this, you know, everybody says, I'm going to start a business so I can have free time. Yeah, if you're going to do that, you got to plan it.
Oh, yeah.
And we're in that stage. We're trying to get to where we can have that balance because in the beginning, the first 5 years are going to be hard. Like, it's going to be pour it to the, you know,
it's a pivoting point.
Yeah, and you got to pour it on. But, I mean, if you can do it smart and maybe get a couple employees and train them properly so that you can have your weekends or can have that time, that's huge. So
That's great. I mean,
I
it
need
is
to
true.
work on that.
Family time's great. I like, you know, you want to spend time with your kids. You want to see your wife. You want to see your family. You want to do the things you love, but you also want to build your business so you could do more of those things. So it is kind of like a catch-22, I would say, because you're trying to do both. And sometimes it doesn't work, but once you get that time in, that's when it starts showing you the rewards of that. You know, and a lot of people don't get that. They want the rewards on day one. You don't want that. You understand it. You're like, I got to get to this point to make that happen. Other people just want that point like there, like today. Like, hey, I started business last week. Why am I not spending time with my family? Yeah. Well, because you started business last week, and like you're trying to get every drop of work you could get to make that business run itself eventually.
Yeah.
Or run it, like you said, in the field a little less, more on the estimates, which frees up your time more. Because, hey, I want to go to his baseball game. I want to go see him play soccer. I want to go see an event at school. I want to, you know, you can free yourself up for that because you have people in place to let that happen. Is there anything you guys want to add or share with our audience or anything? You have to have something.
I think that one thing I really took away from the LCR Summit and just, you know, everybody talking was being just us two, you don't think about company culture. And I didn't understand what that meant. And you just think, well, we're going out there to do the work. We know how to do it. We're going to get it done. And we're going to be happy with our work. But then you think, well, a guy comes along, and maybe your tools aren't organized in the back of your truck. Maybe you don't have anything on racks, and they're having to open the tailgate and get into stuff. And one thing that they were saying at the LCR Summit is, would you want to work for yourself? And, like, would you?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, would you want to get hired by a guy
tools.
who's got a open the tailgate and then get your tools out, and it's like, oh, I got to open the tailgate 25 times today to get my trimmer, and I got to go up in there and get fuel versus grabbing it off the trailer. And like the same thing, like they were talking about this morning, about hire employees with a growth mindset, because that's what matters. And I think that would be a great way to build a company culture, because that's how you build great people, like people in your team, people in real life. That's how life works. Like, you have to have a growth mindset to move forward. And if your team or you or your business isn't moving forward, you're never going to get anywhere, because your business reflects you. So starting to get stuff set up, systems in place, because we don't have those at the moment, because we know how to do stuff. But when we want to bring an employee in, what are they going to – they're not going to know. And it's going to be hard to sit there in the field with them and be like, oh, this is how you do this, this is how you do this. If they could just have a video or have this handbook that says, this is how you check the oil on the mower, this is how you sharpen blades. So things like that you don't think about being just us two, really you got to dial in on that.
Some stuff in place.
Yeah.
I want to see your birth certificate.
Yeah.
I have to. Listen, I'm going to request. I'm not releasing this without a birth certificate.
I have it on my phone.
I don't think you're 14 years old. I don't believe it. You're not changing my mind.
One other thing I took away this weekend that I've always pushed in my own life, and when I was a maintenance technician, I love to teach people. Like, we'd have a new guy come in. If I can teach somebody how to operate a piece of equipment, if I can teach somebody how, when this alarm goes off, this is what you need to do, when I was a maintenance technician, to save me some time from having to come to the machine and help them, because they now know how to, oh, that needs to be restrung because this alarm's going off, right? Or whatever it may be. But giving them the showing them beforehand and teaching them, they're not going to come to you afterwards because they know how to get through that. And then when they do run into an issue that they don't know, then there's another teachable moment to teach them. And I don't know why, for me sometimes, that's not hard in this business. I had 3 guys I tried out this summer, and it was, the hard thing is we're 100%. We're going, right? And then you got guys that are 75% into it, right? Or maybe 75%.
If you're lucky.
And trying to keep up, them keeping up with you or you following up behind them.
Yeah.
And so, you're going to lose productivity. So that's a hard thing. But I have to figure out how to go from being the mechanic and teaching that stuff to teaching that in this side of the business, like in this type of field. And I'm still learning a lot, right? It's a new field to me and things I'm learning. So I have to learn how to do it so I can teach them. But the apprenticeship thing they talked about, that's huge. Like, I am a pro apprenticeship person, and I listened to a podcast the other day, and I can't even remember who I listened to it on, and they were talking about your business and doing apprenticeships. And I'm going to send this guy out. You're going to get hired on. We're not doing cash raises, right? You're not getting a raise every, like, it's 1 year you get a raise, or next year you get a raise. No, you're the bucket man, he said. He said, you're the bucket man. You're going to take the bucket. You're going to go out. Your job's to clean up all the trash, and when you achieve the bucket man, you move up to the trimmer.
That's great.
Now you're the trimmer man. Once you achieve that, those are your, it's like
rewards.
Apprenticeship, rewards. So once you've completed that section or that apprentice section of learning that task to where you've mastered that task, you then move up, and you just give them a raise. You don't even tell them. You just add that pay increase into their check. So when they get their next check, they're like,
whoa,
oh, wait, I got a pay increase, So it's not just like, hey, you're getting a raise. Like, here's your raise. It's just, and then they're more like, whoa, I worked hard. I completed what they told me to, and I want to try to build something like that because they set it out as this, like when you come into the job, you already know these are the steps you have to complete to get to your next pay advance.
And it's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. But if we can lock that down and figure out a way to do that in our business,
it's brilliant in many ways.
I think that's a good culture too.
If you take it in the sense of too, they can never say like as they move up, they can never say that they don't know where they were at the bottom.
You're just breathing heavy.
At the bottom. They'll take that out. They'll never know where it was at the bottom. You're at the bottom. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you've already been there. So as this guy moves up and let's say he comes in and he's moving down, You can never say to this guy, you don't know how it is, man. I'm picking up garbage over here. Oh, yes, I do. I've been there, and now I'm here. And it's a very good process like that, because you should always start at people who could go into a position at the top, it's not the right mindset, because you can never tell me how it was to be here. Then I could tell you, you don't know how it is, and then you can say, oh, yes, I do, because I was already there.
Yeah.
And so how can people find you guys on social media?
You can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Grant and Sons Lawn Care.
Or all one word, though, Grant Sons Lawn Care.
Grant Sons Lawn Care.
Same as our website, grantsonslawncare.com, got a website. Google, we're on Google, everything there. So we've built that. So
hey, guys, check these guys out. It was a pleasure having you guys on. All right, I'm going to kick it back to Mr. Producer. Thanks a lot for coming on, Kaden and John. It was great having you guys on. And I definitely want our audience to check you guys out, because you guys are great father-son team.
Yeah,
I look
thank you.
I hope I have that one day with my kids.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.